Good morning, Grace Point. Thrilled to come to you today and with another one of the series, Did Jesus Rise? This morning I want to look together at some of the behavioral evidence. We're talking about how did the people around the resurrection of Jesus change or respond to the resurrection. First, we want to see the disciples. I think that one of the starkest transformations was the disciples. Before the resurrection, they started off before the crucifixion as scared. They were infighting. They struggled to even get along with each other, much less make a difference in the community. And throughout the crucifixion, it seems that by the time Jesus died, very few of them, maybe only John, was actually left at the cross. They're running for cover, they were hiding, even according to their own unflattering accounts. And then we see something happen, and it transformed it. We see that it says, while he, or the formerly the lame man, clung to Peter, this is in the book of Acts, and John, and all the people, utterly astounded, ran together to them in the portico called Solomon's. And when Peter saw it, he addressed the people, Men of Israel, why do you wonder at this? Or why do you stare at us, as though by our own power or our own piety we have made him walk? The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus, whom you delivered over and denied in the presence of Pilate when he had decided to release him. So Peter starts out, and they just healed this lame man, and everyone's gathering out, wondering, what's happened? What's changed? What's the difference? And Peter's going to explain to them and say, you're looking at us and you're saying, man, these guys are nothing special. And you're looking at them like, do we have power on our own? And he says, absolutely not. And he's going to recount to them, he says, no, this is through God, and it's the God of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And he says, but you denied the holy and the righteous one, and you asked for a murderer to be granted to you. So Peter here is recounting the story. He says, you want to know how we can do such incredible things? He says, well, this goes back to the events that just recently took place. That the God of our fathers, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, has done something miraculous here. He says, but you responded to the Messiah, and you rejected him, and you asked for a murderer to be granted to you. And you killed the author of life, whom God raised from the dead. To this we are witnesses. What's Peter saying is that he's saying, you want to know where the power comes from? He says, the power doesn't come from us. The power comes from God. That the power to raise this lame man comes directly from God in the person of Jesus, whom you crucified and whom God raised from the dead. That transformation is not capable in the disciples themselves. And it says, and by his name, by faith in his name, has made this man strong, whom you see and whom you know. And the faith that is through Jesus has given the man this perfect health in the presence of you all. He's saying, you want to know how this man walks? He said, it's by the very same person and the very same power that raised Jesus from the dead. And he says, and that's the source of our power. See, prior to the resurrection, the disciples were scared. They were hiding. They ran. Peter even denied knowing Jesus 3 times, right after promising that he would never desert or never leave. And they go from this persecuted and scared group to a group that stands up in front of thousands of people, proclaiming that they believe that the one who had just been crucified, just been condemned, was the Messiah and the Son of God. What caused this transformation in these disciples? What changed in their mindset? Now, like I was saying, it's not any one piece you can look at and say, okay, this is definitely it. But the question is, excuse my dog, she's having a little trouble with quarantine right now. But the question is, what explains the pieces the best? We also see the disciples, they gained nothing by sharing the resurrection. I think it's always good to look and say, well, maybe, obviously they're the ones first proclaiming it. What did they gain by that? What benefit did they incur as a result of the resurrection? Well, we first saw that a typical benefit is money. They didn't receive any money as a result of proclaiming the resurrection. And also, they didn't receive any power. They weren't elected to king or the head of the temple or rule. In fact, their belief in the resurrection of Jesus caused them to be chased around, even chased out of their homeland, and scattered throughout the world. All the apostles, except for John, died horrific deaths according to early sources. And even John, after a failed attempt to execute him, died in exile. These men held firm to their belief in the resurrection of Jesus. And they did so with nothing to gain. They didn't get any money as a result of this. They didn't get any power as a result of this. This transformation, this change in their behavior, their transformation from scared followers to fervent believers happened because something great happened. And I think the best explanation for that is that Jesus rose from the dead. We see this behavior evidence, this radical change in the disciples. And as we see this radical change, there's just one more piece of the puzzle that, as we put it into the context of all the other pieces we looked at, we can say, yes, Jesus rose from the grave, and Jesus is alive. Hope this helps. God bless.